I'm sorry, is my Roomba a dude?
Of course I had to summon a big scary army and several generals back to life to kill you. How else would I have guided you back to my
Wow, he's been talking for a really long time.
He has. You've been mashing the B and or A button to fill the text boxes too, and he's still talking to us about his plan and his home.
I'm gonna go get a taco. Let me know if I miss anything. Want one?
I could go for a taco.
18 minutes and 43 seconds later. Is he still going?
Huh? Oh yeah. I played and beat every level in Gravity Circuit in under 8 minutes apiece while he was talking at me. I think we should just let him keep going while we do this review.
That'll get annoying. Let's just mute him and we'll check in every once in a while, see if he says something end of the earthy.
Good plan.
Time to review the indie game sensation that's taking the world by storm. Gravity Circuit. Be it by fist, by foot, or by hookshot, you take on the mantle of the Gravity Circuit. Run, throw, explode, and destroy your way through over 8 different levels as the titular character who's fighting to save us all.
Gravity Man Circuit City begins with a flashback to a time many years ago when an unidentified object was discovered. Unfortunately, because we have to humanize everything and no fictional robot creatures are above making very human mistakes, we messed with it, and an army full of evil bots called the Virus Army emerged and began wreaking havoc. Luckily, and strangely, 9 Guardians, all brandishing a different form of emblem they made in first grade and stapled to their heads, emerged. The lucky part was the fact they were on our side.
The battle was long and costly. The 9 Guardians, named the Circuit, suffered great losses too. 8 of 9 of them fell to the Virus Army. The Gravity Circuit, in his gravely injured form, survived. The inhabitants of whatever world this is found him and placed him in a healing pod until such a time when he may be needed again.
Well, that time is here, on this planet,
in this city, today, at this hour, in this minute, right this second.
Take the first train to danger as the only robo-person who can save us all and kick the crap out of everything in your way in this first awesome level.
200 million XX's gameplay involves a great deal of platforming and fighting things. You'll jump over gaps and slide your way into crevices while dodging spikes and other traps. Poorly. And if a gap or jump looks a little too far for your puny little legs, use the only tool in Megadroid Delta's arsenal worth a toot. The hookshot.
It looks less impressive in this footage because I was just learning the ropes. I am not good at this game. Anyway, the hookshot not only acts as a reusable long-range attack, but it can grab onto some walls and ceilings and allow you to swing and hang out of the way of dangers and obstacles. It really elevates traversal in this game to new heights. Even though I suck at hooking things and swinging, there was never a moment I wished there was another way to jump over these long gaps.
The hookshot and Mighty Number Gravity have one more trick up their sleeve that James will now gush about. Throwing things.
Fuck yes. Throwing things. One of the best things video games lets you do. If you button mash an enemy enough times, they turn gray. You can then use your hookshot with ZR to grab the bot, and if you hold the button, you carry it around. Then you can pick a direction and toss the fucker. Throw it at another bot, pick that bot up, throw that bot, pick up an icicle on the ice level, pick up a missile, catch a spherical explosive, floating mine, grab that sucker and throw it at the other floating mines. There are very few projectiles, enemies, and hazards that you can't pick up, carry with you, take to work, order lunch with, then toss at the next guy who looks at you funny. It's fucking awesome. Best part of the game, right here. Alright, let's check in on that giant head.
You wanted to stay.
Force flatulence. Does this thing ever stop talking?
Mute.
As you fight through 8 levels with area-appropriate set dressing throughout and environment-appropriate boss at the end, you'll fight enemies with what else but your fists, feet, hookshot, other enemies, and throwable hazards. But what if there was another way Mighty Gravity Volt could fight and was visually appealing? Enter burst techniques! These are mighty attacks that use these green burst energy chunks to pull off, 1 per technique. Some are as simple as a punch with multiple hits. Others will dash you forward, hoping an enemy meets your path so you can grab them, then seismic toss them into the ground. Further beyond those, you can heal yourself. You can equip 4 at a time and use them as long as you have enough burst energy. The orange particles you collect will fill up this meter, which will give you green chunks back, which means more seismic tossing!
These extra abilities can be bought from this mysterious cloaked figure. He tells you about the circuits you fought in each area and sells you all the burst techniques in the game. If you're wondering what else you can do with the cash you collect from blowing things up, wonder no longer. You can purchase research from this friendly character. As you talk to people and fight things, you'll collect data chips. If you bring them to this guy, he'll research the data chips and tell you more about wherever you got them. Enemies, bosses, NPCs, all of it. It's pretty cool.
The final and most important use for your cash? Chips. we're going to call them mod chips as to avoid confusion with other similarly named things. Mod chips will modify Gravity Volt Burst and grant him things like a magnet that will pull collectibles toward him, allow him to punch and kick faster, or the most why did I have to buy this thing ever, the double jump.
First, I have to say, the double jump is the most important thing in the game. It not only allows you extra mobility in the game, which lets you move through more difficult levels with ease, it also feels fucking amazing. While I won't be writing a new testament about this game's double jump,
Shouldn't have to purchase these things, just make double jumping at the start the standard.
I will tell you that if you suck with the hookshot, this is the viable option for level traversal. This is the way the game was meant to be played. You can only shoot your shot in 8 directions. With this, the world is your oyster. Paired with wall jumping and sliding, there are very few limits to your mobility now. Some areas will require use of the hookshot, but most things can now be done sans that tool. I was not good at this game until I got the double jump. Then the experience improved dramatically. I was a hopping, tossing, dying force of badassery.
I mentioned before how the hookshot is the only tool in your disposal worth a toot. That's true until you get the double jump. Now dodging projectiles, leaping over pits, and avoiding danger is trivial. You may only need the hook for 1 or 2 areas at most.
With the double jump being so important to gameplay, it really only leaves 2 other mod chip slots, and some of these abilities are super helpful, like the one that turns your extra burst energy into HP if you already have full energy bits. This one is so important you can unlock an extra game mode where that is the new standard of play.
Why not just make it the standard of play in the regular game? Many of these mod chips just seem like things the Azure Striker Gravity Circuit should have had equipped from the get-go. Having to pick and choose between integral gameplay mechanics that can cause difficulty in mobility, combat, healing, or cash collection seems like a rough way to run your robot. Mod chips should feel like mods, not like bits and pieces were missing at launch.
Now that you've outfitted yourself with the appropriate information from data chips, you've weighed the options of double jumping or healing yourself when picking your mod chips, and you have 3 awesome burst techniques and healing equipped, it's time to fight the virus army. Each of the 8 levels you go through have some sort of specific area they're based on. Some even have elemental hazards to avoid. The lava level, the highway level, the icy mountain level. These are all very reminiscent of that one game with that one character by that one cap company.
At the end of each area, you'll take on the master, circuit that controls it. Several of these bosses are ridiculously overpowered tanks of damage and death, and 2 or 3 of them are excellent tests of skill and power that equally match everything you've done and learned thus far. Every boss has 2 phases to them. The first phase is just them doing their thing. The second phase, activated after punching the first level of their HP bar off the screen, initiates with them using their own burst techniques. Sometimes it's summoning grunts to the field, sometimes it's shooting a giant beam at you, and sometimes it's changing the entire battlefield to serve as falling objects that will take large chunks of your already too small HP bar.
I don't understand this type of design. I'm a bot with, say, 10 hits to my name. Why do boss strikes take 3 or 4 of my bits? It's early game, before I have money to afford the healing, before I fought Trace to earn the privilege of buying healing. I feel like games like this would be better if there was a measured increase in boss damage according to how much HP I have.
Or if there was any indication for whom to fight first. As James said, you earn the privilege to buy toned down versions of the burst techniques each boss used. 2 from each boss you defeat. Fight Trace in the junkyard early in your playthrough to have a chance to buy the healing technique. Wonder what that giant head is up to.
And most importantly,
I'm not surprised.
Beyond the gameplay with layers that defeat the purpose of other layers, you discover bits and pieces of a story about finding a place to call home, rescuing your friends, and some really convoluted and confusing stuff about how your emblem is the most powerful and it's not originally yours or something, all to come face to face with this character who challenges Kebora Gebora for most speech bubbles ever.
You thought we were exaggerating when we made this joke. Nope, he's still talking too.
I just wanted to see the stars with my family.
Alright, I think he's done. And with this giant character's final breath, you have beaten Gravity Circuit. You've suffered through ice and electric levels, defeated 8 or 9 or 10 or 11 bosses that cut your HP in half within 30 seconds of battle, pressed B to skip more text than any human could read, and realized your awesome robot body doesn't change color to fit the needs of the environment. Good job!
Gravity Circuit is an excellent game. When you're not worrying about finding secrets, rescuing the 8 bots in each level, already found the boost gauge or HP upgrades throughout the game, and have the double jump. Then you fall into this comforting zen state of mind where obstacles are challenging, but you no longer fear them. Your grappling hook is just a choice, and enemies stand little chance against your double jumping, seismic tossing powers. But you can only achieve that zen mindset after beating everything 100%. This feels like a game that could have had 100 levels if it just treated mod chips as either permanent upgrades or let you start with the double jump and other stuff. I would gladly play 10,000 more levels of this game as long as I had those.
This is certainly a game for a certain type of gamer, as it reminds you of adventures long past, ones that were poorly replicated in order to capitalize on some type of nostalgia, and others that you refuse to play because they stapled that awful roguelite/like tag to themselves. But it's more than what it reminds you of. It's a grabbing, throwing adventure that we rarely see in the industry, and one that we would gladly play more of. You know, if it just made that double jumping permanent.
Then I'd write a new testament for it. Until then, thank you for enjoying our review. What did you think of Gravity Man Droid Delta XX Volt Striker Circuit Mega? I did it! Let us know in the comments. Were our jokes too reference heavy? Are we still talking? Do you own a cat? Answer all these questions and more about life in the comments. Alright, bye bye, good luck, have fun.
Finally, they stopped talking. Robo Christ, I thought they'd never shut up.